This reminds us of the death of Jesus. James wanted to serve. He wanted to be at Jesus' right hand or his left hand. Jesus himself was arrested during that festival of unleavened bread. Well, it was Passover time. And the same happens with Peter and James. Now, we know that James was released. He was released, but Peter was released, but James was not released. And he was put to death with the sword. And what that means is that he was decapitated. In the notes that accompany this, I give you some Bible trivia. 7 decapitations in the Bible. Make sure you look at the notes, because there's a lot of material there. Well, James got his wish. What are the lessons for us? I admit there's not an awful lot about this man, at least things we know for sure in the Scriptures. But there are some important lessons, and I see 3. First, it's not about being in the inner circle. It's about service. And I think that you and I need to really watch it. We as humans have a temptation to want credit, to want approval, acceptance. We want to be in the in group. We want to be popular. And to some extent, I think the Bible shows us that when you follow God, you will earn some people's respect, and sometimes people will stand in awe. But it's really the glory of Christ that they're in awe of. But other times we'll be persecuted. And the Scriptures are very clear that the more closely we try to follow Christ, the more deeply we'll drink of that cup. So it's not about being in the inner circle. It's about service. The second lesson, high-profile leaders are more subject to attack. Now, often when we read the New Testament, we think of people being thrown to the lions, though that's never explicitly stated in the New Testament. We think of all kinds of ordinary Christians being captured and imprisoned and tortured and killed. But there's not really that much of that in the first century. That's more of a second century thing. But even then, it tends to be the high-profile leaders. The authorities normally go after those with the influence. They can't be bothered trying to arrest every Tom, Dick, and Harry, but they will arrest the James, the Peters, and the Johns, high-profile leaders. And in church history, these are the ones who lose their lives. And in the New Testament, I believe that those of whose deaths we read were serving in significant leadership positions. And so first, it's not about being in the inner circle, but it's about service. Second, high-profile leaders sometimes are more subject to attack. In fact, I would say they're nearly always more subject to attack or negative publicity than those who follow. And third, sometimes the Lord takes us away early. Why was it that we don't read about John dying in the New Testament, but we read about his brother James? It happened so soon, and James is executed and Peter's released. Herod Antipas could have killed Peter and released James, but he didn't do that. The Lord has his purposes. They're inscrutable to us. Sometimes the Lord takes us away early. It's not about being in the inner circle, but about service. High-profile leaders are more subject to attack, and sometimes the Lord takes us away early. These are some vital lessons for you and me surrounding the Apostle James.